It baffles me, the hypocrisy, right? And it goes both ways. This cuts both ways, because on the left right now, you have Jerry Nadler, you have Nancy Pelosi, you have Chuck Schumer, who are vehemently, adamantly against impeaching President Clinton 20 years ago, 19 or 21 years ago. And they're on tape saying the reasons are because it would be biased, it would be along party lines only. You can't impeach a president along party lines, and that's exactly what's happening now. And they turn around and they look the camera in the face and they say, that's exactly why you need to impeach the president for crimes and misdemeanors. They're just so lacking character, or are we just that stupid that we believe them now and not 21 years ago?
Look, I mean, this is definitely going to change the way that impeachment as a tool is used. It's going to be used for partisan purposes going on forward. And that's a negative thing, because impeachment is the most radical remedy our Constitution offers, right? That's to overturn the results of a duly held election. That's a radical, traumatic thing for the country to go through. But because it's being used in such a clearly partisan way, and you can argue that that does go back somewhat to Clinton, that kind of cracked the door a little bit to use impeachment in the normal course of politics. Now we're looking at using impeachment against a president who has very good re-election chances in 2020. I mean, what does that do to the very radical tool of impeachment if he is impeached, acquitted, and then re-elected, right? We're going to see this just become another political football, and I think that's a negative for the Republic.
I mean, the most radical example of that would be the next Democrat president, whether it's 2020 or 2024, whenever, if it happens to be a Republican House, you impeach him. No matter what, he or she, just impeach him. Just say, well, you know, that's the new around here. You impeach somebody you don't like. It's all politics. It's not actually policy or breaking the law.
And one step worse than that, right, making impeachment a mere political tool is bad enough. One step worse than that, at least the House members and the Senate members are elected, right? What we've seen so much during this whole course, especially when the House was building its evidence, although now it doesn't want to stick with the evidence that it built, we saw a lot of unelected bureaucrats from the executive branch basically come out and testify, we don't like the president's policy with regard to Ukraine and with regard generally to foreign policy. Okay, great, but you weren't elected. I mean, I even somewhat agree with some of the foreign policy points that folks like Fiona Hill made, but the president was elected, not me, and not Fiona Hill, right? So we have this big divide that somehow has disappeared from our discourse between people who actually stand for election and set the policy, and the bureaucrats and agents who are supposed to carry out the elected president's policy, and yet here they are trying to contravene the policy the president sets.
Here's what I understand. The American public accepts, and especially Democrats who accept what Adam Schiff and Jerry Nadler are feeding you. Meanwhile, if you wanted to hear from Bolton, then subpoena him. They never subpoenaed him. Never subpoenaed
let alone
now
try to enforce that subpoena.
The Senate to subpoena. Well, subpoena him. Here, I got another one for you. If Bolton wants to talk, then freaking talk. It's America. You can say whatever you want in America. John Bolton, you don't have to stay quiet because the president is using executive privilege to tell you not to testify. Don't testify. Go do a Facebook Live. Tell us what you know, John. Here's the problem. This isn't about testifying. This isn't about getting information out. This is about John Bolton selling books. This is about the Democrats playing. They realize they don't have a case. They don't have enough to actually impeach with conviction, get the president out of office, and they're just grasping at straws.